not available online. We're just going to go through our waiting for our YouTube viewers to join as well. We're live today on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and we're here to recap the most important immigration news regarding PRs, startup visa, provincial nomination, express entry, more power to CBSA given by IRCC and the Canadian government, the Chinook usage system based on the latest data between January to February 2022, and the new Chinese criminal database platform. My name is Reza, if you don't know already. I work with the Ingwe Canada licensed immigration team, helping applicants move to Canada, whether it's for yourself, your kids, your business, or all of the above. This is what we do every day. It's important to note that I'm not an actual YouTuber, a full-time YouTuber at least. We work hands-on with our licensed immigration team in Canada, working on actual applications and communicating on behalf of our clients with Canadian Immigration Department, both inside and outside of Canada. These videos are made for the purpose of sharing our hands-on knowledge with Canadian immigration, our hands-on Canadian immigration knowledge with our worldwide audience. So it's not theory. This is all practical, hands-on. If you're thinking about immigrating at Ingwe, Canada, we break down the barriers between countries so you can study, work, and invest here. We're licensed and we help applicants like yourself and your family. Let's jump in. We will take questions and answers later. Please note, I can only see YouTube questions and comments. I am unable to see the comments on Instagram and Facebook. So, and that's just a technical thing with the video streaming platform we use. Let's go through this quite quickly. There's a lot of content. I will paraphrase and try to shorten as much as possible. In terms of startup visa, as of September 23rd, one of the angel investors was removed from the IRCC designated organization list, which was the Southeastern Ontario Angel Network. So they are no longer a designated organization that can issue letters of support. In the next 2 weeks, we're going to have a dedicated startup visa video with the latest processing times and latest news and gossip and data that's been made available. Express entry, as everyone knows or doesn't know, September 28th. Yesterday, we had 504 points as the CRS minimum threshold, 3,750 new candidates from Express and were invited to apply under all programs, federal skills trade, skilled worker, CEC, and provincial nomination. And there's still 237,000 of you stuck in the Express entry pool as of today. And if you've noticed the pattern, 557 was the first draw as of July 6, 2022, which was post-COVID, and the only draw where all programs were invited. And then it dropped to 542, 533, 525, 516, 510, and 504 as of yesterday in the past 7 draws. So do you notice a pattern? Yes, of course, we should be expecting below 500 soon, and that's where most human beings like me and you would fall under, whether you're at 450, 480, or 490. When the express entry draws drop below 500, it becomes more humane. Continue on express entry news. As many of you know, as of July, the Canadian education credentials can be verified for express entry for people who've done their courses between March 2020 to August of this year, 2022, that were completely online or while they were doing it outside of Canada or through part-time studies. So that was changed with express entry this year to allow those people who were stuck in COVID and weren't able to attend class in person. IRCC language certificate for newcomers as part of the language instructions for newcomers to Canada. They will be issued a language benchmark certificate that shows their language ability based on the documents they had submitted for their PR. So that will help with citizenship applications as well as proof of language. Nova Scotia Entrepreneurial Provincial Program, which has one of the lowest minimum investment amounts, is still closed in 2022, besides the BC Regional Pilot Program. The Ontario Provincial Nominee Draw, there was a draw yesterday which invited mainly IT and software occupations with 496 points from the Express Entry platform through a nomination for Ontario. The Saskatchewan Immigration Nominee Program had a draw yesterday as well. 639 applicants were invited from Express Entry who already had an application with the SINP, and 507 candidates with a score of 81 in the non-Express Entry in trades and equipment operators as well. So this was the latest draw for Saskatchewan, in case you have submitted something in terms of the provincial nomination program there. As everyone knows, there's the new NOC code coming up in about less than 2 months, and what you should know about it. So everyone knows there's a new NOC code, National Occupation Classification System, coming in. If you have not yet received an invitation to apply before November 16th, you need to update your NOC code in the Express Entry system. This is very important. Many NOC codes are now being included as in the new NOC code system that are now eligible in Express Entry that were not. So nurse aides, for example, and payroll administrators, dental assistants, pharmacy technical assistants. So these are now in the new NOC code eligible for Express Entry. So that's significant. Especially for nurse aides. This is a game changer, everyone. And if you're in that industry, you understand that there's so many nurse aides that are in Canada, but because it was a NOC-C and with the old NOC system, they were not eligible under that, and the provincial programs sometimes were not as helpful. And transport truck drivers as well, bus drivers, and heavy equipment operators, which were typically not allowed in the old NOC system. And there's several occupations that are not allowed anymore in the new Express Entry or eligible that will be removed as well as of November 16th. So remember, if you are in the Express Entry pool and you have not been invited to apply for PR, you do need to update your NOC code. We will have a dedicated video about it when it launches, because I don't trust the government with all the preliminary information, so I'm going to see it for myself when it's launched. IRCC announced an expansion of the rural northern immigration pilot, so adding 11 new communities, Northern Bay, Sudbury, Timmins, Thunder Bay, Moose Jaw. So there's more employers now, West Kootenays and Vernon, and there's more options and employers being added to that program, and they're going to be launching a francophone substream for the rural program as well. In terms of Manitoba, most number of candidates ever this year have been invited in 1 month, so they're very aggressive. 388 invitations were issued in September 15th with a minimum score of 613 for PR, and making it over plus 41 invitations for international students and 7 for overseas skilled workers. So that's making it 436 invitations in September, but previously they were always in 340 to 370. So Manitoba has had one of its biggest draws this year. PEI, Prince Edward Island, on the same date, September 15th, also had an entrepreneurial draw with minimum 85 points. The second highest points this year for this program, 142 invitations throughout this draw for skilled immigration and Express Entry as well. PEI has one of the best provincial entrepreneur programs, folks. It has a lot of good programs. It is the smallest province, but if you can go there, their programs are unbelievable. The BC PNP Entrepreneurial Base Program is open back up again mid of this year, so that's great news. So you've got the regional pilot and you've got the base program. The New Brunswick Provincial Nominee Program under the skilled worker stream is now only prioritizing specific applicants. So if you're an applicant that does not fall into these categories that I'm going to explain, they're not going to process you this year on a priority. Okay, Francophone applicants, graduates from New Brunswick post-secondary institutions, and NOC codes that cover IT engineering occupations, technical computer occupations such as network system technicians, nursing occupations, practical nurses, and nurse aides. Anyone that doesn't fall under this category will not probably be processed this year, so be careful. This just shows you that when you do come and study or work in Canada, you've got to be in the right NOC code and in-demand NOC code. So don't just apply and come to Canada, come with a plan. IRCC has also announced, the Government of Canada has also announced the removal of all COVID-19 entry restrictions as of October 1st. So the Arrive Can app, providing proof of vaccination, pre or on arrival testing, and COVID-related quarantine or isolation are all being removed as of October 1st, 2022. LMIA Global Talent Stream update. On all LMIA websites and Global Talent Stream, they have updated the recruitment description, warning that anyone, that means third-party representatives or agents that are recovering or taking costs or expenses from foreign workers, will be subject to penalties and application refusals because the employer needs to cover all those expenses, the recruitment expenses. Another update by IRCC is they're giving the power, more power, to Canadian Border Service agents that are at the border, inland officers and border service officers and regional program officers that can request international students evidence of compliance of their study permit conditions, which basically means, are they enrolled at a DLI? Do they remain enrolled at a designated learning institution, a school? And are they actively pursuing? So if you're coming back in as an international student, let's say you've traveled overseas, holiday, or you're inside and you go in for anything, and a CBSA officer asks you, they are now allowed to ask you for proof that are you a full-time or were you a full-time student enrolled at a designated learning institutions. Let's look at IRCC Chinook usage data. Okay, if you don't know what Chinook is, just Google it. There's a million videos. We do have a discussion about that, I think last year as well. This is the data from January 1st to February 8th, 2022, okay, from IRCC. There's a total of 44,442 applications that were processed with the help of Chinook. Okay, just to give you some numbers, we're going to post this on our website later on in the coming weeks. Abu Dhabi, about 1,687 applications were used for Chinook, 2,327 in Ankara, and the most was done in Ottawa, right? So Ottawa has a case processing center that helps overseas application processing. So 15,828 applications in Ottawa were processed with the help of Chinook. Guangzhou, only one, and Ho Chi Minh, 1,401. Manila, 2,036 applications under Chinook. Mexico, 3,824, and Paris, 3,226. Nairobi, 2,267. These were just some numbers. We're going to publish all the numbers. And this is just literally for 5 weeks, folks. 44,442 applications processed, and these are TRVs, temporary resident visas. IRCC is launching a biometrically anchored identity system across the board. What they've written, technically, I'm just going to paraphrase or read what they've actually said. When a new client initiates first contact with IRCC by applying for a visitor visa, study or work visa, or residing in Canada, they're required to enroll in a biometric information, right? So the client has 30 days to enroll and collect at a service point inside or outside Canada, And these are live photos with biometrics. Biometrics are linked to their unique client identifier, your UCI, which is related to all your immigration processing, and their biographic data, forming a biometrically anchored identity system across the Canadian government database. Once collected, fingerprints are automatically vetted against RCMPs, which is the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, which is like our version of the FBI. So against RCMP's immigration and criminal fingerprint holdings, and automatically shared with other partners in the security world, right, to identify low risk, high risk clients. So that's an interesting system that they're streamlining with their biometrics across their live photos they're taking and the biometric data for applicants related to immigration. There's a new Chinese criminal record database that's been launched. So new regulations in the Chinese police certificate and new national record database as of April. So China officially rolled out their National Criminal Record Information System, NCRIS, which is putting into force at the end of last year, but it's implemented this year. The new rule states that an individual will be issued a no criminal record certificate unless a conviction exists. If an individual has a criminal record, a notice of not issuing a no criminal certificate shall be given. This is the first time that China has published a clear nationwide definition of no criminal record. The rollout of this national criminal record database strengthens their quote-unquote our ability to conduct criminality assessments of Chinese applicants. So IRCC is now going to be using this new Chinese criminal record database for the first time to process Chinese applicants for immigration purposes to Canada. In terms of PR news, as most of you know, IRCC is transitioning 100% of all permanent residency applications online starting September 23rd, which was 5 days ago, up to the end of this year. So everything in terms of PR will be 100% online. Many of them are already, and they've rolled out a transition. So in October, Quebec and self-employed Quebec coming to online since October 14th. We've got the agri-food pilot program for all those farm workers out there or people working in the food processing. Startup visa, October 14th. So it's available online and paper startup visa, but now it's going to be only online as of October 14th. October 21st, home support workers, home child work, and HNC, humanitarian compassionate, and self-employed. So as self-employed, if your cultural, art, or athletics was paper-based, now it's rolling out to online as of October 21st, 2022. And the AIP, Atlantic Immigration Program, is going all out online as of October 28th. And there you have it, folks, a recap of all the significant things that you should care about or that will affect you. We will have more videos about startup visa and the NOC code later on. And if you're thinking about immigrating to Canada through studies, work, or sponsorship, or your business, you know you're at the right place if you're watching this. And I can guarantee you only one thing. I won't guarantee anything else, trust me. You will know what to expect when you're working with us. The entire process clearly laid out for you. All the risks identified and where we can provide you 100% support. No surprises, just results. We have a $1 million liability insurance, which protects us and you from fraud and mistakes, and a dedicated client trust account with our Canadian banks. That's where you will deposit your funds when you work with our team. Our team speaks over 8 languages, and we help applicants from over 47 different countries. Click the link below this video and get a free assessment. And of course, if you're ready to go ahead with a one-on-one consultation, you know what you need, you have your timeline clear, serious applicants only, you can book a one-on-one consultation using our booking link in the description of this video. And of course, we're here live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram every Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, which is North America local time, New York, Miami, Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto. And yes, we're live here now, and we answer all of your Canadian immigration questions for free. And I do apologize if I'm flying through things very fast, but hey, we don't have a lot of time and there's a lot to cover. And remember, I can only see your YouTube questions and comments, not on Facebook or Instagram, unfortunately. So keep on pressing the like button, folks, and we're gonna go in and we're gonna see Chinyeregu Ebube. High level greetings to you and loved ones. So Reza, glad to have you online. Thank you, Chinyeregu. Glad to see you online. These are comments and questions on our YouTube channel. The signal is poor. Yes, I'm traveling, folks. It's not my usual background here. I am overseas, if in case you're wondering. Axel is saying, hello, I submitted my PR application this September with complete details. What are the stats for landing this year? Hoping to get a confirmation of PR this year or hopefully January. Any advice? Well, it depends on which program, Axel. If you applied under Express Entry, 6 months plus minus 2 months. If you applied under spousal sponsorship, 12 months. If there's no interview. If you apply through a provincial nominee program, you're looking at 20 months up to 24 months, but typically within 20 to 22 months. So it really depends. If you've applied under startup visa, we're looking at 2.5 years for them to actually look at your application, right? And then another year. And this is not published. They publish 32 months, but they never tell you that that's actually the time it takes for them to actually start looking at your file. So it really depends on what program you've applied. Chinyeregu Ebube says, wow, a bunch of thanks for bringing these wonderful news to our notice. No problem. This is why I'm here. Chloe Manosalvas. Nice. I like that name, Chloe. Reza, good day. You are right. Now my visitor visa application updated where the eligibility review has started after 3 months from biometrics. Okay, Chloe. Yeah, there you go. I believe, Chloe, you were applying from South or Central America, was it? And usually you can get that done faster if you were, from that region that you're in compared to regions in Southeast Asia, Africa, or Middle East. Kehinde Fafora, what's happening to caregiver pilot applications? It's stuck, it's slow, Kehinde. The government has not come out, but they will be planning to revamp the whole program. Nothing announced yet. They're super slow. I don't expect any announcements this soon, but it's so slow, like over 2 years for people actually to get a work permit to come under the caregiver pilot. It's ridiculous. Chloe Monsalves, once eligibility review starts, how long is it for visitor visa approval? Typically, it's quite fast. I would say about a month to get to that next stage. Anna says, hi Reza, can a medical exam for the PR be done even before it has been requested? Yes, Anna, yes. And so we call it sometimes a upfront medical. So a lot of our clients, for certain programs, we do an upfront medical. And then sometimes for programs where it is required, we just do the medical upfront and include it as well. We do not wait for the medical exam request, unless it's a long PR processing like a startup where you may end up doing a medical again. Okay, but the answer to your question, yes. Axel said, I'm federal skilled worker overseas. Okay, Axel, I would say 6 months, unless you travel to high security, high risk, high security countries like Middle East, where I'm from. Then typically 6 months. If it's plus minus a month and a half, you should be fine. If you're from South Central America, maybe it'll be quicker, but 6 months is the threshold, plus minus. And again, that tolerance depends on where you are, right? If you're from South or Central America, I would say within 6 months you're fine. If you're from Middle East, that could sometimes take a bit longer depending on where you're from. Chinyeregu Ebube, sir, I put in my family application and I'm in the main applicant as a study permit. Kids also a study permit, but you're the main one. Wife's spousal open work permit has been approved while ours are yet to be done. Do we keep on holding for positive outcome? What's your take? Yes, that happens a lot, Chinyeregu, that the main applicant's processing is not done, but the dependents have been processed. There can be a 1 month to 2 months delay. So I've seen this across many embassies and overseas visa application centers, that this lag or delay, it's almost like a glitch that has happened. So this is normal. It's not the first time. You're not the only person in that situation. Don't worry. I don't know if it'll be approved or not. Obviously, I don't have that insight into your application, but having a delay is fine. John I, as a U.S. citizen, can I set up a Canadian branch of my freelancing business with $50K and create my job offer for express entry? Or do I have to work under a temp visa for a year before applying through express entry? Okay, I'm going to break this one apart, folks. If you're paying attention or not, this is the time to pay attention. You're a U.S. citizen, okay. You can set up a Canadian branch, that's fine. The key is you need to come and have a work visa, right, to actually issue yourself a job offer after running it on payroll to yourself for 12 months, right? So the key is, how will you get that work visa? As a U.S. citizen through, is it Kuzma now? I hope I pronounce it right, the ex-NAFTA. Yeah. Usually if you want to get through there, they're looking for significant investment. If it's significant investment in your industry, 50,000 US, which is good because the Canadian currency is devalued significantly and is devaluing towards the end of this year before, reversing it against the US dollar. Don't ask me how I know this. That, I used to be a commodities broker for 20 years. That's a side note. So that's about 65,000 to 70,000. Okay. I would say, depending on your industry, John, that could be possible, but you could also go through the intercompany transfer. But if you don't have a business with people on payroll in the US, then you'd have to use the free trade agreement. I would say closer to 100,000 Canadian would be a easier number to work with for the embassy to approve. Okay. Then you come in, you run payroll to yourself under this company, and after a year, you can claim job offer points, right? 50 points if it's a NOC 0 A or B, and 200 points if it's NOC 00. But be careful, they may not give you a NOC 00, okay? If you need help with that, let us know. There are certain, let's say, tricks of the trade that you can implement, but depending what you're going to invest in. If you're investing in people and so forth, potentially they can give you a 2-year work visa initially. But if you're just submitting a business plan to the embassy that, hey, I'm going to do this under the free trade agreement regulations, which are LMI exempt, as an investor, then they'll give you a 1-year renewable. Okay, there's, not going to get into the whole details, but this is what I do 24/7. But yes, technically it's possible. And then when you run the payroll, you'll be able to claim the job offer points in your express entry profile if you're eligible for express entry. Remember, language ability. Even if you were born in the UK, Australia, or US, you still need that IELTS, CELPIP, or French, whatever language it is, plus your educational credentials. Okay, the little details there. Next question, the Funny Sing. I like that ID. Hi, could you share timeline for work permit and SUV program? Funny Sing. It's 4.5 to 6 months. That's the general number. So it could happen in 4.5, 5 months, 5.5, worst case 6 months. Okay, that's the timeline for startup visa work permits from overseas. Hasnain Avan, hi sir. Is there any possibility if some consultant claims that work visa issued without IELTS and no educational requirement from Pakistan as a construction manager? I don't believe so. Please advise. Ooh, this is a good one. So, a work permit, would it be possible without proof of language and no education requirement? Construction manager. We have to look at the NOC code, Hasnain, okay, and see if it's possible. Having no language is possible if you prove that you have worked in that English or French or whatever, I guess English because you're talking about IELTS, or your education has been in English, right? So if you prove without a doubt that, hey, I've studied English, all my education is there, or I've worked for a multinational in English through documentation, yes, it's possible. In terms of no education, you have to look at the NOC code, National Occupation Classification Code, to see if education is a requirement. Okay, if I just search NOC code construction manager, right, Google it, right, it's 0711. It's very unlikely, okay, this is just my personal thought, that a managerial position should not have a educational requirement. It is possible, but in specific positions, right? So I'm going to do this real quick because we're doing this live, folks. Don't kill me. Don't shoot the messenger. 0771. We're going to look at NOC code 0711. When we look at education, it says employment, a university degree in civil engineering or college diploma is usually required. So what it means, may be required, is usually required. So technically, you could get away without it, but you have to show good experience, significant experience, and overcome the officer's doubts or suspicions that, hey, without education, how would you manage? Okay? So it is possible, it's just more documentation, more preparation. So in theory, yes, Hasnain. But in terms of practicality, you're going the hard way, right? You're taking the long route. If you have education, it's easier. But it's not mandatory. However, the officer, if they don't have enough supporting documentation of the capacity to manage in that position, may challenge you, okay? But in theory, yes. Farhan Abbas Hareza, IRCC is going for some reforms such as relaxation and eligibility in immigration policy for various programs. So will it bring effect to applications and process? Farhan, nice to see you online. Yeah, I mean, they blab a lot. There's a lot of fluff, relaxation of eligibility. It's very minor, okay? Application processing, no, because imagine they're going to relax eligibility rules. What does that do? It increases the number of people applying. It will not affect application processing times. If anything, it will affect it negatively, making it even longer, not sooner, okay? Farhan, the funny thing, I've applied for the SUV program from India and work permit from Europe, still no response from IRCC. Funny thing, you got to look at 6 months. And again, it's not an exact science. There are clients that have seen it take up to 8-9 months. But right now, from India, we're looking at 4.5, 6 months. Chinya Regu Abube, thanks, Sir Reza, no problem. Chloe says, Reza, you sound tired. Remember, you got to rest. Thank you for always giving your best. Yeah, maybe it's the traveling. I've been traveling these days. Maybe that's why. Maybe I'm tired. Maybe I'm jet lagged, Chloe. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. Maybe I'm a bit more tired than usual. Wube Whoop. Wube Whoop. How are you? Hello, Reza. How long does it take to get family reunification PR after medical? I had medical exam in May of this year. I was wondering why it's delayed. So you've done your PR medical, and then I guess you're in spousal partner sponsorship. Typically with the PR, it depends on the program you apply. Family sponsorship is usually a year. If you're not in a spousal or partner sponsorship and there's no interview, then it could take longer on the other programs, right? So it depends on when did you actually do the application and what program. Let me know. John says, thanks, Reza. No problem, John. Anytime. We're here Thursdays to answer your questions. Anna, many thanks, Reza. No problem, Anna. Let us know if you do need help with any of your startup requirements. John says, how quickly are federal self-employed persons' applications being processed? Is temporary work visa possible while this application is in process? Wow, great question, John. And I love the question because I know the answer. If I didn't know the answer, of course, I'd be like, what? That's a stupid question. No, I'm just kidding. So federal self-employed is a PR-based program, permanent immigration, permanent residency, okay? It will take up to minimum a year to get a decision on your application, okay, on a federal self-employed program, PR-based, and then another year to process your PR, okay? That's the general rule of thumb. Does it give a work visa or work permit like the startup visa or other programs? No, it doesn't. However, what we do for our clients is we combine two programs, like you probably know that already. You sound like a pretty savvy guy, immigration and technically. And so we bring them in through a federal work permit program, right? Significant economic, cultural benefit. We use that program to get them the work visa. Then they're inside, they implement, oh, sorry, folks. They implement the program and then they apply for the self-employed from inside Canada. So that will even increase your chances even further for the self-employed program to be approved, because you've actually implemented the business with a work visa under a different program. So there's no doubt in the officer's mind that, hey, you're actually doing what you said you would do, which is the reason why most federal self-employed get refused, or they're not considered world class. Remember, watch my video on self-employed and I'll take you through that, what those concerns are. So hopefully that's answered your question. The federal self-employed, 1 year for decision, another year, so total 2 years for PR. And then in terms of a work visa, no, it's not there, but you can combine it with another program to get a work visa. Press the like button, folks, if you like the answer, and hopefully you like the answer. Hasnain Avan, thanks very much. Ken Cube, hello. I'm 25 years old from Kenya, just applied for a study permit. I do have just one travel history in Dubai, short visit. Let's take a little break here. Dubai doesn't count as actual travel history in terms of Canadian immigration. What are my chances of the visa getting approved and how long will it take? Again, it's too vague for me to process. You got to do education gap, financial resources, ties to your home country, travel history, statement of purpose of study plan. These are the factors they're going to look at, and previous refusals to Canada, US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Europe. So I'm unable to really tell you what the probability of approval are in your case, unfortunately, based on the information provided. The funny saying, thanks Reza for the advice, best wishes to you, and see you soon in an appointment. No problem. Funny saying, I hope you'll be funny in the appointment. Sabna VK, hello, do we need past experience in business to apply for startup visa? Great question, unbelievable question, folks. Because I was reading an internal memo, and these are all shared with lawyers and consultants, right, based on the Access to Information Act in Canada of IRCC corresponding with their program advisors and the head of the program or startup visa, that technically there's no experience or education required officially, okay? And they want to refuse those files, but they don't know how, right? So this is a huge discussion now with startup visa, is that how can they refuse people who don't have the proper education or the experience to do it? So technically, Sabna, no. But if you want to be safe, yes. You can take that road and challenge them because, hey, there's in the regulations, it's not stated. So it's possible. But they would love to refuse you if you don't have it. But, and then you can take them to federal court and say, hey, where does this say that? But they may, so what our IRCC officers usually do is they will actually use another excuse. So if they can't refuse you on your education or work experience for startup visa program, okay, folks, they will find another excuse to refuse you and hide their true intentions. That's what they do a lot with other types of applications. Okay, they might go for your intention and be like, you don't have the intention, or hey, you have, because the intention to actually start a business is important. If they feel that you're doing this to gain status in Canada, which means just for immigration, they'll refuse you, and that is in the regulation, so they can use that. So it's an interesting question. The answer is no, it's not required, but they'd love to refuse people who do that. And we have a startup visa video or live, I'm not sure, scheduled for the next 10 days, okay? So I'm planning to talk about that and some other juicy gossip and info and data and processing them about startup visas. So stay tuned for that. Avaugu Ifunaya Nanya. Hello. My study permit application was reopened on judicial review. How long will it take it to get approval? Well, first of all, I don't know how long it'll take to get an approval because you don't know if it'll be an approval. First of all, you go through the judicial review. It has to be accepted by the judge to actually go. So a judicial review application is accepted. Then you go to court, and a judge will look at it, and then they will issue a decision whether an officer should relook at it. So it's not a study permit approval. It's actually whether an officer should relook at it, and the basis of their refusal was unjustified or an error in law. Okay, so you could be looking at anywhere from, to get to court and to get a decision, right now I would say 10 to 12 months. Doga Conte. Hi, how are you doing? My name is Doge Conte from Gambia. Hey, Doga, I think you're the only person from Gambia who's connected on YouTube Live with us. And just to remind everyone who's connecting, we are here answering your questions live for immigration to Canada. And we're here every Thursday doing that. If you email me, I'll probably say just tune in to YouTube Live, right? So remember, ask your questions in this session. Don't email me and ask me questions in general. MRP, hi Reza, thanks for helping impairing valuable information. Would you prefer the Manitoba Business Provincial Nominee Program or the BC Regional Pilot? Great question. That's definitely my specialty. And you guys are probably wondering, what is not my specialty? What is not my specialty is refugees, asylum, humanitarian, compassionate ground. Those are definitely not my specialty. MRP, the Manitoba Business PNP has a great program because within 6 months you can file for nomination. Unlike other programs which are typically 12 months, or in BC, which is longer, right? So Manitoba is a great program because within 6 months of running the business, you can put in your paperwork to actually process your nomination for PR. It's freaking cold there. Okay, that's all I can say. BC Regional Pilot. Okay, first of all, I assume you've done your exploratory trip, you have a Canadian visitor visa, or you're planning to, okay? The regional pilot is great because the investment amount is low, less requirements, language, and everything else. Specific communities, they're small towns, right? In Manitoba, you can actually go to Winnipeg or bigger towns. BC Regional Pilot is specific towns, communities, and when you want to get that community support, it's specific businesses that community wants. So there's a lot of restrictions. Plus, if you don't have any connections into those regional communities, rural, then I recommend you either get those connections or you don't go with regional. It's not something that you just email them and, hey, I'm coming over. You do need some, let's say, ties or some inroads to be able to coordinate your exploratory trip. Because if you just do an exploratory trip and then expect them to issue a letter of support from the community for you to be able to apply for the BC Regional Pilot, then it won't work exactly like that. You definitely need to prepare in advance. If you do have ties, great, do it. I think it's a great program. BC being tough, okay? Manitoba easier, okay? That's the comparison. If you have immediate family in Manitoba, stick to Manitoba. If you have immediate family in BC, stick to BC. If you have immediate family somewhere else, brothers, sisters, parents, siblings, whatever, then stick to those provinces. Higher chances of approval. Whoop, I applied for spousal family reunification, PR, protected person on September 2021, medical May 2022. I think they're in background checking. And how long will it take? You could be looking up to 4 months minimum, up to 8 months. So you've probably hit the 4-month mark next month, maybe. So towards the end of this year, hopefully. But again, there's more background checks with maybe that category that you're doing. So I would say that I won't be able to actually let you know, because under that specific program that you've applied, I don't have the expertise to tell you the processing time. Avaugu Ufanaya. Hi Reza, great job. Thank you, Avaugu. Rashid Amir. Hi Reza. Hello Rashid. This is Amir and I have visitor visa of Canada. Is it possible to convert it to work visa? Yes, you need a job offer, a valid job offer with a labor market impact assessment. That's, you can convert to a student from inside Canada if you meet the eligibility criteria. You can convert to a work visa from inside Canada up to February 2023 if you meet the eligibility and have a valid job offer. Pay attention to the keyword valid. Kirun Nasa. Hello Reza. If I go with skilled visa, can I get a PR? If I get them, how many years later? Let's say you come in on a work visa, you would have to either use the provincial nominee program, the regional rural, or the federal skilled worker or federal skilled trade or Canadian experience class to convert. Depending on your English ability, your eligibility and all that, could take 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. So it's a loaded question. It's therefore I cannot give you a specific answer, but it's a process. And everyone knows who's been in touch with me that I always say immigration requires patience, especially Canadian ones. Canadian immigration. Bino Tapa says, when the temporary foreign worker permit, work permit, LMIA employer data set of 2020 will be published. Oh, that one? Bino, are you applying for jobs based on LMIA approvals and refusals on that? I'll tell you, you're not going to get anyone to hire you. It's tough. I download that data set regularly, and it's usually there's a lag, right? Q2, I'm not sure if it's released yet or not. I haven't checked, but yeah, I mean, it's, you know, we monitor the website regularly. Q3, definitely no. We're already in Q3, right? Yeah, so that's not going to happen for a while. Q2 should be out quite soon if it's not already out. But if you're planning to apply for jobs under that, it's not the right route, trust me. Tades Eshetu. Hi Reza, how long does it take to get a visitor visa for conference? I have only 9 days from Ethiopia. You're looking at 6 months, Tadessa. So maybe for next year's conference. You know, don't apply for 9 days. 9 days, nobody can get 9. I mean, it's happened, but not if you don't have immediate family members. And even if you do, 9 days, it's just, it's fantasy. I'm sorry, but it's not going to happen. Amar P, very detailed explanation. Thank you very much, Amar. Amar, I forgot what your question was. What was it? I'm just looking back. Amar P. Yeah, there's a lot of questions, so sometimes I miss it, folks. Amar, did you ask about the PNP maybe? Yeah, business immigration. Hi Reza, great job. Hi Reza. Bino Tapa, when yeah, so that one I replied. Who else is pending to reply? Avaugu Ufunaya, my eligibility review started on July. How long will it take to get an approval? Avaugu, great job. Hold on. Judicial review case. My eligibility review started in July. How long will it take to get an approval? So do you mean the court or the Department of Justice of Avaugu has decided to resend back, or the judge, to resend back to the officer? Is that what you mean? So your file is being re-reviewed, reconsidered in the embassy? Is that what you mean exactly? Or is it just still in court or waiting to be accepted to court? So let me know so I can give you a proper response. Amar P said, could you please tell me briefly about the federal investor program? Is it superior to, say, the Manitoba PNP? So I'll give you some great insight. Yeah, thanks, Amar. You were the one that was asking about Manitoba and BC. So here's a great answer to your question. There is no federal investor program. It was closed in 2014 or 13. Okay. I do expect it to reopen later on when the governments change. So 4, 5, 6 years from now, probably. But not now. That program, there is no federal investor program. It does not exist. It was closed in 2014 or 13. I don't exactly remember. Isoken, how are you? Good morning. Thanks a lot for the good work you're doing. Happy to be here. Isoken, let me know if that email my colleague had sent to you makes sense about the parent-grandparent super visa requirements. Avaugu Fanaya, yes. Yeah, so yes means what exactly? It's already an officer looking at it. Typically within 2 months they should be able to process it. This is what we've seen. Like, it's relatively quick when a judge or the Department of Justice sends it back for reconsideration or re-review or another officer to take a look at it. So maximum 2, worst case 2.5 months, I would say. That what I've seen. Abdullah, which province is the best for master's or postgraduate certificate for international students to convert to PR? Simple question. Like, good question, simple answer. If you watch any of my YouTubes, you know it's 3 provinces: BC, Ontario, Newfoundland. Okay, BC is direct, no pool, no point system. Ontario, they have a provincial point system, and Newfoundland doesn't have. It's in between. However, not everyone wants to go for Newfoundland. Abdullah says, my question was for data sciences. I would say Ontario or BC, but even Newfoundland. So all 3 provinces would be good. Your knowledge and replies have been excellent, unlike others whom we have dealt with. Thanks, Abdullah. I mean, the honest truth is, folks, not one person can know everything. Okay, if you're dealing with an immigration advisor, consultant, lawyer, or agent, if they say I know everything, they're lying to you. That's the reality. I don't know everything. So sometimes I have to refuse answering questions and be like, I have no clue, right? Or it's not my specialty, right? And immigration is vast. There's over 75, 80 immigration programs here in Canada, folks. So you got to remember, and there's variations of them: provincial, regional, rural, federal, right? No one person knows everything, because I also talk to a lot of lawyers and consultants, people who've been in the industry much longer than me. And I gain a lot of information, and sometimes I find out something and I ask another person who's been in the industry for 40 years, and they have no clue about it, right? So it's not like I know everything, you don't know. Information is spread out. It's spread across different people, different organizations, right? And no one person will know everything. That's a fact. Okay, but we will try our best here to answer as many questions as possible and give estimates on processing time, because processing times are definitely the most difficult questions. So, Preetpal Singh Dari. Preetpal, how are you? Hi, I want to convert tourist visa to work permit. Can you please help? Preetpal, do you have a employer to convert? Because that's what you need. Or if you have a spouse or yourself who want to study, and then the other spouse can get an open work permit based on, the one person studying. If you want a work visa, work permit, you do need an employer with a valid labor market impact assessment, unless you're from countries like that have free trade agreements in place, which can come in through LMIA exemptions for specific occupations. But yeah, those are the criteria, and unfortunately we don't offer jobs or anything like that. That's not what we do. Isoken, yes, they have sent it to me. Great, Isoken, thank you. Take a look, questions, send it over to me. Marjorie Buenbrazo, wow, I like that name, by the way. Hi, Rez, I applied as a caregiver or home support program last year of October, and we did biometrics late May. So how long will it take our visas to be approved? The home care pilot the caregiver pilot program could take a year or more, Marjorie. It's a long process. It's a slow process. They will change the program soon. I don't know when. Soon, in terms of government processing, could be light years ahead. Preetpal Singh says, nope, I don't have anyone. Okay, Preetpal, you gotta find somebody. It's like, hey, I need a job, but you need an employer, Preetpal. To convert, you cannot just convert yourself unless you or somebody else is the spouse or partner of an international student studying an academic program, or they're full-time temporary foreign worker, or they're a protected person under a refugee program. MRP, you've got a great attitude. God bless. For visitor visa, should I show an immigration intent and tell about your exploratory visit? It depends, MRP. I gotta see your travel history, where you're applying from, what's your background, right? Do you have any relatives or relatives or family in Canada? Can you let me know? Abdullah says 0. Abdullah, your knowledge about okay. Oh, maybe, yeah. Hold on, folks. We're here live, folks, answering Canadian immigration. In case you're joining in, Preetpal says, okay, I'm trying. Thank you. No problem. Ken Cube, my study permit is on master's in BC. Finished my degree in 2020. Financial is there for the whole program. Should be okay. But again, are you a mature student? My study is on master's in BC. Finished my degree on okay. If your financials are strong, Ken, you should be good likelihood of success. And you're young, you've done your degree 2 years ago, and as long as you show strong financials, strong ties to your home country, good assets, and a clear study plan, that will be the difference, the differentiating factor. Abdullah, thanks for answering my question. I have another query. If there's a gap of 16 years after the bachelor's degree, if looking for master's in the work experience, will the visa request be rejected? Oh, okay. Tough one. I have another question. If there's a gap of 16 years after the bachelor's degree, if looking for master's in the work experience, will the visa be rejected? So you mean you want to apply for a master's program and you have a 16-year gap because you had work experience? Abdullah, I'll tell you this. If you're applying from a Middle Eastern country, I assume, most likely, unless you have already a valid Canadian visitor visa, which I assume you don't. The way you do it is you should convert to a study inside Canada. Or if you have amazing travel history and you've studied abroad and done educational short courses overseas, maybe, but it's unlikely in reality. There are ways to convert, but I would say apply from inside Canada after you have a visitor visa. If you don't have good travel history and you've got a 16-year education gap, that's like Russian roulette. And anyone who's watched my videos knows I love using that terminology, Russian roulette. No offense to Russians, I have a lot of Russian friends as well, but that is Russian roulette, my friend. Natalia Chereda, could you please tell me, will I get a permanent residency if I enter Canada under the SWITE visa and will work as a self-employed or open small business? Hi, Natalia. Yes, we were just talking about Russia, and now I have a viewer from Ukraine. Small world. Will I get a PR? Okay, so the PR is not guaranteed. The Canadian-Ukraine program that allows you to apply for visa and work permit is just a work visa and visa to come in. When you have the work visa, you can work for somebody else or you can start your own business. So that's all possible. But the PR there's no specific PR program yet for Ukrainians under that program. So what you need to do is actually gain work experience and potentially go through express entry or be sponsored by an employer through the provincial nominee program. They will be planning to roll out PR programs for Ukrainians. So the important part is you need to be inside Canada. So get your visa, get your work visa, come here. If you want to work for somebody or do self-employed, that's fine. Remember, self-employed under express entry and many provincial nominee programs does not count. But they may roll out some new programs for Ukrainians inside Canada with work visas to convert to PR. Okay, and if you have family, then even better. But remember, self-employed will limit you to PR in certain cases, unless maybe you're there's no unless you're a doctor, a medical doctor, which I doubt, because the licensing, even if you're a doctor in Ukraine, you have to retake all the exams, unless you're from UK, Australia, or US. Natalia Cherada, yeah, so we've answered that. MRP, nobody in Canada for me, applying from India for visitor visa for business PR, 39 years old, fluent English with decent financials. Travel history, MRP. I need to know your travel history. Master's degree, ECA done. Okay, so Amar, tell me your travel history in the last 3-4 years, and I don't want to know about Asian countries. I want to know about Europe, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, US. Then I'll tell you what I think. Abdullah, bachelor's in electrical. Okay, Abdullah, we were talking about. Okay, the gap. Master's in environmental, which has my work experience. Okay, I have a visitor visa for Canada. I have traveled multiple times in Europe, US, China, Mexico. It's possible, Abdullah, but the chances are not high, Abdullah. Okay, if I was you and I wanted to do, so you already have an admission and you've already shown them your IELTS, so that means it'll be challenging for you to convert from inside Canada. Yeah, because you need to do a prerequisite if you're converting from inside Canada. Usually we ask clients to do language, but you've already applied for a study permit, so you've shown them your IELTS, right? If you haven't yet, I would say stop, come inside Canada, do a 1 semester language. You will be eligible to convert, and your chances of approval are 99%. From an overseas embassy, depends. If you're in Abu Dhabi or UAE, it could be less than 50%, right? So it depends. Again, have you already applied or no? Hasnain, I have a US valid visa, and 2 months ago applied for Canada visitor visa from Kuwait. I'm Pakistani national. How long will it take? Please share percentage approval for visitor visa. Okay, folks, that's a tough one. Hasnain, what were we talking about? Yeah, there's a lot of people, folks. I gotta keep track here. Hasnain. Let's see. Okay, we're talking about the construction manager. No education, no language. Okay, Hasnain, I have a U.S. valid visitor visa and 2 months ago applied for Canada from. Okay, so Hasnain, so for a visitor visa, and remember, they may use your visitor visa details if later you are applying for PR work permit, so make sure all the information matches. Visitor visas, if you do not have immediate family members, can take up to 6 months, sometimes longer. So don't be surprised if it takes 8 months. If it takes 4 months, then be happy. But 6 months on average, plus minus 2 months, okay? If you do not have immediate family members in Canada, and I'm not talking about relatives. Immediate family members means children, parents, siblings, okay? Natalia says, thank you for replying. No problem, Natalia. Amar, no developed nations in the past 3 years, but have traveled to Europe, Singapore, HK. Well, Europe is first world country. Singapore, as long as it's a Schengen. Singapore, Hong Kong before 2011. Yeah, I wouldn't include I'm going there for immigration. And you have no relatives, Amar, right? You did say I have no relatives, right? You're gonna go bless. I would say MRP, I'm just looking at it, folks. Master's degree. Try as it is. I wouldn't say some people do mention and get invitation letters to buy business and go for immigration and all that as an investment. If you've done business with Canada, that could be an excuse. But in your case, I would probably not write that you're coming for an exploratory trip. It could work, but in your case, I wouldn't. Wives in USA. Okay. So that's perfect. Wives in USA, you are going to go plan to meet her or in Canada or travel together to Canada, apply, go for sightseeing, don't mention the exploratory trip. Thank you for that. That's your answer. Abdullah, I have an IELTS of 8.5. I haven't applied for admission yet. I'm in Dubai, but Indian national. Abdullah, if you're in Dubai, and yes, I'm in Dubai too, folks, right now, just so you know, don't apply from the embassy here. Take a visitor visa, go to Canada, or you have a visitor visa. Do a 1 semester language course, okay? and then do a pathway to the master's program you're doing. Okay, so the way it works, you go there with a visitor visa, just you're visiting. You go inside, you do a 1 semester of a language program that has a pathway program to the master's that you plan to apply for, right? You do that and you will be allowed to convert your visitor visa to a study permit, and that will be 99% approval. I've done it many times, okay, for many of our clients, even 60 years old, like 40-year education gaps. I'm not kidding, okay? That will increase your chances. Don't apply from here. Abdullah, thanks for taking the time to answer queries. No problem, folks. We're here answering all your immigration-related questions, Canadian immigration-related questions. Amarpi, thank you very much. Reza, appreciate your time and expertise. No problem. Ken Cube, thank you for your time. No problem, Ken. Make sure you guys press the like button before you leave. That would do a lot for us. Otherwise, I'd be fired. Okay, my marketing team will fire me if I don't get likes on this YouTube live video. But again, we're here every Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is the local time in, Canada, East Coast, right? And we can answer your questions live, okay? Press the like button, and then thank you for joining us today. We will be signing off now, and you can stay tuned for our upcoming videos on startup visa, some juicy information on that. We will plan to do another BC PNP entrepreneurial video as well in the near future, and we're going to also roll out one on judicial review, appeals for study permits, work visas, and so forth, okay? And any option to meet you directly in Dubai. Abdullah, unfortunately, I'm flying out very soon and I'm already packed, but keep in touch with our office. They usually coordinate my schedule, okay? Chloe Manosalvas, 22 watching. Come on, guys, let's make it 22 likes. Nice. We're at 10, Chloe. So thank you for the positive support. We owe it to them. No worries. They'll fire me if you don't get the likes to 18. I'm gonna get fired. Okay. So let's push it, folks. Let's get the likes to 18. Otherwise, Reza will not have a job. And if they kick me out of Canada, okay, and I have to be recycled back, I don't think I'll have enough points in express entry. I don't have an employer to hire me anymore. I probably won't do startup visa. I may do hybrid startup visa, but I won't do the regular stuff because it's just too risky for me. So yeah, get me 18 likes, folks, so I don't get fired. Okay, this is, let's say it's a marathon. Oh shoot, we were at 17. Thank you, folks. We know. Nice. Oh wow, we've done 18. Thank you, everyone. I will not be fired this week until next week. Okay, and again, anybody tuning in, we were answering all of your Canadian immigration questions live. I am licensed in Canada. I'm allowed to handle immigration, Canadian immigration. So there you have it. Godfred have just like, thanks for your time, Reza. Godfred, how are you? Thanks for your time. You never answered the emails, Godfred. I got to bring you in on this YouTube live to actually talk to you. Godfred, I've got a solution for you. If you're still interested, I'm in Dubai. I'm going to let me know. Send me a quick email if you want me to give you a call. If you don't want me to bother you, just let me know. Avaugwe, thanks for your time. Amar, also liking all your past videos. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Chloe. Thank you, Amarbi. Thank you, Godfred. Thank you, Abdullah, Ken, John, Natalia, Hasnain, the whole works. Everyone. Sorry, Iso Ken. I may not remember all your names, okay? But thank you, Avaugu, Sabna, and yeah, most of you, and Chineregu for always being there, first person to view. Thanks again. See you next week. I'll be in a different part of the world, but still online. Rain or shine, Christmas, no Christmas, we will be live on YouTube helping applicants like yourself. Okay? Be safe. Thank you, Chinergo. We'll send you an email. Thanks, Godfred. Hasnain, thanks again. Take care, folks. I got to get a drink. Too much talking. And remember, Canadian immigration is slow, and don't believe everything everyone says about Canadian immigration. Do your own research. Be your own boss. Take care, guys. Take care. Bye-bye now. shut this stuff off. Let's see, how do we do this?